It's done. It's over. I did it. I finished it. Remembrance of Things Past, Volume 3. All 7 novels, all 3 volumes, all 3,300 pages. Finished. I spent the last few weeks furiously devouring the last book, and now it's over. So what happened? How did it end? And more importantly, what did I think about it? Alright, let's begin with a recap of the last volume, a quick summation of what happened. The narrator's living with Albertine. He's going to marry her. Then he decides he doesn't love her anymore. Then he's bored with her. Then he gets insanely jealous of her. Then he's bored with her again. He tells her to leave. She says, no, I don't want to leave because I love you. Then she leaves. He's annoyed that she leaves. Then he doesn't care that she leaves. Then we find out that she died in a horse riding accident. Oh, then it turns out she's not really dead. Then it turns out she is dead. The narrator spends a lot of time interrogating her acquaintances as to whether or not she had lesbian affairs while she was alive, as if that matters at this point, but he still can't get over it. Swan dies. Swan's wife remarries. Swan's daughter, Gilbert, marries Robert St. Loup. Robert St. Loup dies in the war. The narrator finally writes an article and gets it published in a newspaper, for which he gets way too excited. It's apparently the only article he ever wrote. He decides that the events of his life would make a good book, and boy, wouldn't he be a genius if he could write it all down. He procrastinates for about 20 years. He reflects on how old everybody is getting and how everyone is dying around him. He feels sick. He feels like he's dying, even though there's nothing really wrong with him. He resolves to write his book. Then he gets hit with a wave of apathy and doesn't care about writing his book anymore, says he doesn't have enough time to do it, says he doesn't have enough energy to do it. Then he changes his mind again and decides to finally do it. Apparently, the book that we've just read is the book that he wrote. And Proust did actually die while revising it and trying to complete it. So I guess that ties in pretty nicely there. And that's it. That's how it ends. So laying on his deathbed, reflecting on life and his willingness to write it all down and memory. So that's what happens. That's the end. Summation. First, I'll start with the positives. There's some beautiful language in here. There's some very astute observations of human nature and the nature of life. There's some very good political commentary and cultural commentary. The section on the life of the homosexual, I think, is very moving and very apt, especially for the time. Obviously, the first book has that famous scene with the Madeleine and the tea, where he remembers, and that whole evocation of memory. I think that was really good, very acutely observed. That happens in real life. So those were the good things I liked about the book. Now the bad things. The narrator is intolerable. He doesn't do anything in his entire life. He never works a day in his life. He wants to be a writer since the time he was just a little kid. He never writes anything except for one article, and then on his deathbed decides to finally write a book. That's not how writers work. Writers write. Terrible. He's fickle, he's shallow, he's vain, he's paranoid, he's obsessive. He spends most of the book obsessing over whether or not his lovers are having lesbian affairs behind his back, which is a weird thing to obsess about. He meanders through high society aimlessly without really accomplishing anything or seeming to try to accomplish anything. What I think is weird is the whole book is about lost time, and he talks about, how once the time is gone, you can't get it back, and all we have are our memories, and trying to recapture the past is so important. That would make sense if he had like this beautiful, idyllic, wonderful, happy childhood, and just wanted to return to when things are simple and easy. But all of his memories are these bitter, angry, hateful memories of jealousy and paranoia over his various love interests. Feelings of frustration over not writing anything, being a failure. He doesn't seem to have any happy memories at all. So I don't understand why this obsession with lost time and wanting to remember the past instead of moving forward. It seems a very strange thing to focus on when his life seems to have been so miserable. Overall, the book could have used a really good editor. It's extremely self-indulgent. Taking 3,300 pages to tell this story is entirely unnecessary. Could have been told in probably 600 pages. And been much more effective without all the padding. I know a lot of people like this, and I've said this before, but I want to reemphasize, I don't have a short attention span for books. I'm not just intimidated by long books. I read lots of long books. I read lots of 1,000-page novels. Many of my favorite books are 1,000-page novels. That's not the problem. The problem is its padding. It's just rambling on and on and on and on and on about dinner conversations that don't have any reference to the plot, are not interesting for the reader, and they serve no practical purpose. All that could have been cut with no loss to the book at all. All the beautiful observations of landscape and memory and time could have been kept. Would have been a pretty good book, but it just meanders on, no editor. Like I said, he spent years revising and editing and adding more things to it. It's just the height of self-indulgence. It's someone just with no editor writing as much as he possibly can, putting every thought in his head down on paper. And it doesn't make for a coherent or tight story. I'm looking at the Goodreads reviews. It seems like just about everybody gave this third volume 5 stars. I assume that's because only the people who really liked it made it this far. But I know it's a very highly regarded book, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion among people who have read Proust and love Proust. I feel like the people who don't like Proust would have given up around the first couple hundred pages. So the fact that I slogged all the way through it means that I'm probably in company of people who really are passionate about it and think it's the best book ever written and want to read it again and again. And that's fine if you like it. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it didn't do anything for me apart from those positives I already mentioned. I thought it was just bloated and self-indulgent, and I found all the characters unlikable, and the constantly reversing back and forth. Even Albertine, who I initially liked at the end. Oh, I want to stay with you. No, I don't want. I want to leave you. No, I feel trapped. Now I want to run away. Now I love you. Now I don't care. Now I'm going to lie to you. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. It was very frustrating to read. It wasn't pleasant, and I don't understand the motivations of the people in the book very well. I don't know why they can't just be straight with each other. So there you have it. I read the whole thing. I didn't think I would ever finish it. I guess I got through it pretty fast considering, but all the same, I'm desperate to read other things. So I'll be very happy next week to be moving on to other, bigger, better things. Oh, and I got a special announcement. We have a special episode of Logan on Books coming our way real soon with a special guest presenter. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be fun on the bun. Until next time, I've been Logan Albright. Thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for suffering through the however many parts, 8 parts of this Proust series that I've done. I want to be moving on to more exciting books from now on. I hope you'll keep watching. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. I hope you leave me comments in the comments section. Did no one ever leave me comments? Did you love Proust? Did you read this whole thing and think it's genius? If you did, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Put it in the comments. I want to engage with you people. All right. Thanks a lot. I've been Logan Albright. Have a good evening. I will see you next time.